So now I want to touch on very quickly CTE, because I want to take you into the shadows of a very silent killer that has been stalking athletes and soldiers and everyday people for decades, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And I want you to imagine something you're living with every day of your life, whether it be playing football, boxing, serving in the military, taking hits to the head, never thinking twice. And this reigns true for me because I'm a 20-year vet. I also played football. I also used to do Golden Glove boxing. So again, I just believe that I'm very blessed. I believe that I'm very lucky that till this day, I don't believe I have any brain injury. And I know that sometimes as you get older, certain ailments, certain conditions start to come on. And hopefully that never happens to me. I hope that I stay in the same condition where I have all my faculties, my mental faculties in order. But CTE, folks, is a real thing. And it has very, very devastating effects. I really want you guys to think about this, because if you imagine, and a lot of you guys have played football, served in the military, you did boxing, you've taken hits to the head, and you've never thought twice about it. You feel tough. And again, I felt at one point in time, I really want you guys to dive through this. Being in the military, especially the Marines, especially on the football field, I felt indestructible. I was called when I was in college as well as high school, because I told my college coaches what they used to call me in high school. I used to be called the wedge buster. So anytime during a kickoff or a punt return, there are certain formations that football teams get into to protect the runner and blocking so they could potentially get a lot of yards and or score a touchdown. And I just took it upon myself one game, and I started to do it from that one game, is run fast as I can. And at my top speed at a very crucial weight, 5'11", 185. Yeah, I'm not that tall. 185. And I ran a 4.4 at my top speed, and I would run as fast as I can. And I would see a wedge or I'll see a line of protectors, and I would just run and throw my body and go like this into it to bust open the wedge, especially when you do certain walls and punting. What they used to do is these curved walls, when the ball is kicked and the runner, they used to set up this sort of wedge that they would, so the runner can run around a protection. If it's perfectly done, it's almost a touchdown every time. But I was the one who would run through that wedge and literally run into 2 or 3 people to forge a hole inside of that wall that they're making of protection for the runner. That was me. And I used to just throw my body, my shoulders, my head into that. Then I wore a neck collar. I know the old school ones used to be the little white piece of cushion so your neck wouldn't go back and hurt your neck. I had the horseshoe collar. It's like a little black thing that comes, you wear it under your shoulder pads. But again, that was me. So I can relate to this very closely, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. But again, you feel indestructible. But deep down inside your skull, something is happening that you can't see, that you can't feel until it's too late. Because CTE is not just a concussion, it's a degenerative brain disease that eats away at who you are. It starts with repeated head trauma. Each impact shakes your brain like a snow globe. Over time, proteins called tau build up, literally, they're called TAU, and they build up, literally strangling your brain cells. Your frontal lobe, responsible for decision-making, impulse control, starts to die. Your mood swings violently. Depression takes root, and paranoia creeps in sometimes, and violence explodes. And I don't want anyone to take away from Shane Tamar's story just because he didn't play in the NFL. Just because he didn't play in the NFL does not mean he didn't suffer from CTE. Now, one question would be, was he diagnosed with CTE medically, or did he just believe he had CTE and he really didn't, but he had other mental issues? Okay, because again, CTE doesn't mean that you're insane, you're outside of your mind. You can be very conscious, but there's a constant pain. And what I read that describes what people go through, and it becomes very unbearable. So when we look at these things, we actually don't know what this young man has been through. And I'm not giving any excuse from his action of taking innocent life. But statistically speaking, and again, I hate to be racial, but on this particular point, statistically speaking, Black men don't conduct mass shootings, especially in the realm and region of innocent environments and innocent people. If there's any mass shooting that usually happen with Black men, Black people all together, is usually in the neighborhoods in which they live. And more times than not, that's usually related to some sort of gang violence or wrongdoings between certain groups, but never just going into a random office building and just shooting up the place. That's just not part of our MO. That's not part of something that we do. It's not really in us like that. So I'm more inclined to believe that there's something that was really wrong with him. And until I get the medical reports with a note saying that he was diagnosed with CTE, like he stated, he gave them permission to go in and check this, check my brain activity, check to see if I had anything going on, because he believes he had CTE. So again, we really wouldn't know until we come out with some sort of medical evidence to state otherwise. Now, the Midtown shooting story of Shane Tamar, he claimed again that he had CTE. He also left a note citing that NFL, this isn't the first time we've seen tragedy linked to the disease. And NFL legends like Junior Seau and Aaron Hernandez also suffered their lives spiraling out of control before ending in death. So again, we've had all these examples of different people who suffer from CTE. Now, and granted, when it comes to CTE, this is mostly going to affect people who play in sports, boxing, football, all of these contact sports. And hopefully the NFL, the boxing leagues, MMA, all these contact sports that people getting hit in the head, that they take precautions in some regards. But here's the part that makes my blood boil you. CTE might still be hidden from us if it weren't for one man, Dr. Bennett Omalu. Because as I stated back in 2002, that Dr. Bennett Omalu, he performed an autopsy of former Pittsburgh Steeler Mike Webster, a football hero who had become homeless, addicted, mentally broken. And this is the gentleman that I'm speaking about here, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Bennett Omalu, and he received the AMA award. They gave this gentleman here a standing ovation because of his findings. Now, the NFL didn't like this. But nonetheless, as he was performing the autopsy again on Mike Webster, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Mike Webster was a football hero who had become homeless, addicted, and mentally broken. And what Omalu found was shocking. It shocked him, which a brain ravaged by tau proteins and looking more like that of a dementia patient than a 50-year-old man. It's like usually dementia doesn't, I guess statistics say that dementia really doesn't come on to around your mid-60s, 65, 70. But he was at the age of 50 and it looked like he had dementia. So when Dr. Omalu tried to publish his findings, again, when he tried to publish his findings, the NFL unleashed hell on him. And their doctors mocked him, discredited him, tried to bury the truth because billions of dollars were at stake. And when we're talking about billions of dollars, folks, who do you think those billions of dollars come from? You and I, the consumers of entertainment and football. I love football, love the game, play the game. Instilled a lot of discipline in me and a lot of other things, teamwork, unity, all these hallmarks, all these other characteristics and attributes that you just gain from being part of team sports. But this is something that has been hidden for quite some time. But they tried to bury this at the time of his publishing because of billions of dollars. They called his research flawed, said that CTE didn't exist. Imagine being a scientist trying to save lives only to be silenced because it threatened a multi-billion-dollar empire. But Dr. Omalu fought back. He kept publishing. Others joined in, researchers like Dr. Ann McKee, who later examined hundreds of former players' brain, proving that CTE is a real thing and it's widespread. It wasn't until lawsuits mounted and players kept dying that the NFL finally admitted the truth. They paid out billions. In settlements But to this day, they still avoid saying CTE like it's a forbidden word. They don't want us to pay attention. Yeah, because we love football. We love the hard hitting action. And let me tell you, as a football player, ladies and gentlemen, so do I. I used to love hitting people hard, but not at the expense of hurting them. You know, they say that the hardest hits don't make sounds. That's true. I've been hit very hard. And you guys ever remember that old school movie, if you guys are old enough, called The Program, where the guy get hit and snap comes out of his nose? That actually happened to me. And no one really, it took my air away because I think it hit me kind of like in my diaphragm, my stomach area, but snot came out my nose and I thought I was almost dying because the wind was knocked out of me, so to speak. And just like any other football player, are you hurt or you injured? If you're injured, you can't play. If you hurt, you carry on because everybody is hurt playing. Believe it or not, professional sports, collegiate sports, high school sports, you play hurt damn near all the time. Ice baths and being wrapped and massages, none of that really helps. You really heal during the off season. They tell you take about a month off where you're probably just working out or something, but you're not doing any hitting hard activity. You're not really doing anything strenuous because the body needs to recover and rebuild. But let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that CTE is a real thing. And I just thank God that I haven't come under any of this. Because the impact of his work is staggering. Because people with CTE, they lose themselves. Because I've seen stories of men who loved their families one day and couldn't even remember the kids the next. I just want you guys to put that into perspective because it has devastating effects on the brain. It really does. Your impulse control vanishes, leading to reckless decision, self-destruction, even violence. Suicide rates among players skyrocketed. Depression, anxiety, paranoia, they're all symptoms of a brain literally breaking down from the inside out. But here's the scariest part. There is no cure. Once the damage is done, it's permanent. And you can't diagnose CTE in the living. Not yet, at least. It's only found after death, meaning there are countless people walking around right now, suffering in silence and their minds slowly unraveling. Wow. Is that the reason why this young man, Shane, is this the reason why he has given scientists, researchers, and doctors permission to examine his brain after his death? Is this the reason why? Because the only way that you can detect CTE is after someone has already passed away. It becomes real for me because, again, as I stated before, that this mostly affects football players, boxers, and military personnel. Again, other contact sports, it happens, but not as severe as the top three I just named, according to statistics. So when I tell you guys this is no joke. And this is all at the expense of entertainment. This isn't just a football issue. It's boxing, it's hockey, wrestling, soccer, military veterans. From blast injuries, I was actually near a blast that rattled me. So I understand. I want a couple of blasts. But anyone who experiences repeated brain trauma is at risk. I'm telling you this because we can't ignore it. That's why this story is very important. We can't ignore it. We can't ignore it anymore. Lives are at stake. Families are being destroyed. And we can't let billion-dollar corporations silence science and the truth. We can't allow it to happen. We owe it to every player, every veteran, every kid strapping on a helmet to face this head on. And as I stated before, Dr. Amalu, don't let denial kill you. It's time we wake up and confront this killer hiding in plain sight. I wish all contact sports, those people who play, and all military veterans the best. and that we really unify around this to a degree where we are increasing the safety measures around contact sports, as well as military equipment when it comes to the Kevlar, comes to, your military protective equipment, because it can get better. We have the technology. Throw it into an AI large language model, but there are solutions out there. The only question is, are they willing to pay for it? And at the cost of human lives and your loved ones and my loved ones, they absolutely should.